The latest Star Trek Short Treks episode has just beamed down to us, and all I can say is this short trek is rather unique and is a good laugh for everyone.
Good luck out there, Captain.
Hey all, my name is Captain Jack and welcome to Trek Central. After only a few days, we have a brand new short trek looking at a fan favourite species from the original series, the Tribbles. Before we dive into the new episode titled The Trouble with Edward, a quick note. The new short trek is live now on CBS All Access for viewers in the United States and Crave for those in Canada. Sadly for international viewers, there's still no information on when it's expected you can watch them. We'll keep you updated for sure. Before we warp into this brand new episode and check it out, a reminder that this video will contain spoilers for The Trouble with Edward. We start with a normal short trek opening, but whereas last time we had the episode title fade, this time the title, The Trouble with Edward, multiplies at an alarming rate, suggesting the theme of the episode and potentially referencing the Tribbles' ability to breed at a crazy speed. We get a beautiful opening scene with the USS Enterprise meeting with the USS Cabot, a Mage-class ship that was previously seen all the way back in the premiere of Season 1 of Star Trek Discovery. Seeing these two ships again is always a blessing, but hearing Anson Mount's Pike give us a Captain's Log opening is beautiful and makes us want a Pike show even more. Come on CBS, you're just teasing us now. We are given a stardate of 1421.9, which may suggest that this episode takes place after the events of Discovery Season 2. Now the use of stardates has always been hard to determine when something happens, but following what is revealed and mentioned in this short trek, it makes logical sense to base it just after Season 2 of Discovery, given diplomatic relations with the Klingon Empire. The USS Cabot is getting a new commanding officer, Captain Lynn Lucero, played by Rosa Salazar, well known for playing the titular character in Alita Battle Angel. Rosa does a great job of playing a newly promoted captain of a scientific vessel, with Pike giving some sound words of advice as she departs the Enterprise. I do like the scene between Captain Pike and the freshly promoted Captain Lucero, especially his advice of don't show any weakness or they'll eat you alive. The USS Cabot is a scientific research ship that is sent to help a planet close to Klingon space that currently has a food shortage crisis on its hands. We get a meeting scene of the new captain with her science teams all talking about new ways to improve the planet to get it farmable and resolve the issue at hand. We get to see those iconic triangular monitors we see in the original series and even a Trill. Star Trek is really giving us some Trill representation recently, I like it. Then we are introduced to the great H. John Benjamin's character, Edward Larkin, a brilliant scientist who believes he can utilise Tribbles as a sustainable food source. Obviously this raises questions, both moral and ethical questions, as Larkin discusses genetically manipulating the Tribbles to increase their rate of reproduction, due to naturally being slow to reproduce. You can see where this is heading from a mile away. Surprisingly, this scene is where the comedy of the episode starts breaking out, with Larkin making a badly received observation on removing a Tribble's fur to make them appealing as a food source. Now obviously this does not go down well, even with Larkin confirming he has eaten a Tribble, purely for research purposes. A bit worrying if you ask me. There's also a few funny comments about the intelligence of the Tribble species, especially with the remark of one falling off a desk and instantly dying. Captain Lucero tells Larkin that he's being reassigned to another department, much to Larkin's dismay. From being removed from his research on the Tribbles, Larkin decides to not only disobey the captain's orders by continuing his research and speeding up the Tribbles' reproduction rate, but also sending anonymous messages to Starfleet Command saying how bad at a job his new captain is doing. We get a nice funny scene between Lynn and Edward, where the captain essentially fires Edward for being insubordinate and having bad behaviour on board the ship. She decides to transfer him off the ship, much to Edward's shock. Most of the comedy elements come out during the scene of how the captain essentially wants to end the conversation, yet Larkin does not want to, and repeatedly tries to talk about not ending the conversation. It is quite funny, but eventually he loses and leaves the room. The next scene fast forwards a bit where all hell breaks loose on board the starship. The Tribbles have escaped. We're informed by a running science officer that there's been a lab breach, not that Edward Larkin cares anyway, casually stood in the middle of a corridor half-dressed while the ship is blaring with alarms. Seriously, you think someone would pick up the pace a bit? Edward eventually arrives on the scene of the outbreak and we find a ton of Tribbles all over the place. I love how his first response is the childish, "Who did this?" as everyone, including the captain, suspects it's him. Lucero pulls him to one side and claps to get his attention, informing him that she'll put an official charge on his father for disobeying her direct orders. No surprise to us Trekkies, an officer informs the captain that more Tribbles are found aboard the ship. Cue the montage of Starfleet officers clearing up Tribbles slower than they can breed, also finding that the cute creatures have worked their way into the circuits of the starship, and that's not going well for anyone on board. The crew also discover the Tribbles are actually born pregnant. It's then revealed by Larkin that he mixed his own human DNA with Tribble DNA. Oh, and a random officer is carrying around a Tribble vacuum around in the background. Which is quite funny, to be honest. I mean, the whole short trek should just be that guy, to be fair. It's not going well for the crew of the Cabot as they resort to desperate measures. Phasers are set to stun are handed out with the intention of stunning all the Tribbles to stop their breeding. Now what is obvious is this plan does not work and the crew are overwhelmed by a wave of Tribbles. Yes, I literally mean a wave of cute furry creatures going around the ship. Not the weirdest thing in this episode though. Finally, the crew and Captain Lucero decide to abandon ship and pile into the escape pod, but before they launch, Edward Larkin has some final words for the new captain. Before he's overwhelmed by the wave of Tribbles, he states to her that he's not dumb and that he's made one of the most important scientific discoveries of his time. Obviously this does not end well for him as the wave of Tribbles engulfs him and the captain evacuates the ship along with the crew. A closing shot of the USS Cabot shows us the cute Tribbles have now total control of the starship. Suffice to say, Starfleet Command were not impressed with the new captain, due to the situation which is broken out. A board of admirals at Starfleet HQ point out that in less than 2 weeks under the captain's command, the onboard science experiment got out of control, resulting in the loss of the starship along with an officer. Adding to losing the ship and the officer, the genetically modified Tribbles found their way to the colony of Progene 63 and forced the evacuation of an entire civilization. Oh, and to top things off, the cute creatures found their way into Klingon space, resulting in a pending diplomatic crisis between the Federation and the Klingon Empire. That's a good 2 weeks, to be honest. The short trek is rounded off with a board of admirals asking how one crew member could have caused this much trouble. The answer Captain Lucero gives? He was an idiot. And there we go, that's a breakdown of The Trouble with Edward. Review-wise, I really liked this short trek. It was funny, straightforward, but also gave us some extra canon bits of how the Tribbles and their excessive breeding came to be in the Trek universe. Not to mention how the Klingons ended up with their Tribble problem in the first place. Now some of you might not like this episode due to its more comedic focus than that of a normal Trek episode, but honestly, on the first watch I was feeling up and down. Some parts made me laugh, while others not so much. Overall, I think this is a fun little entry into the Star Trek universe. While it's not my favourite out of all the short treks, it's certainly a good laugh and one that I'll come back to in the near future. Rosa Salazar does a great job as a captain in Starfleet. I could see her popping up again if I'm going to be totally honest. H. John Benjamin plays a good disgruntled employee, and you can really imagine a real-world version of Edward Larkin. I expect some of you have probably encountered a person like that before. Before I end off this video, if you get the chance to watch this short trek, please watch till the end of the credit sequence. That means past the CBS advertisement as well. There is a funny clip that made me laugh so much. Stardate breakfast with a bowl of Tribbles? Yes please. If you watch it, you know what I mean, but honestly, I don't want to spoil that part for you, as that certainly is a highlight of this episode. Well, there we go. That was the latest short trek, A Trouble with Edward. What do you think of this episode? Honestly, it was not my favourite, but it certainly did have its unique points. Let us know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments section. On screen now you can see a list of when all the other short treks are currently coming out. We recently reviewed Q&A, which featured Number 1 and Spock being trapped in a turbolift. You can check out our review on the channel, or head over to our website where you can check a more in-depth analysis and review. If you want to keep up to date with all the latest Star Trek news, lore and more, then make sure to subscribe to Trek Central here on YouTube. You can also follow us on social media, visit our website, or even join our Discord server. For now, I've been Captain Jack, and as always, live long and prosper.